know as a nurse, sometimes you do what you don't want to do because it's in the best interest of the patient, and sometimes the patient's parent. Well, this story is told by Beverly Hausman, and we're calling it Little Joe. She went to a Catholic nursing school, even though she wasn't Catholic, and neither were any of her nursing students. But they had to relearn how to do some specific ordinances in the Catholic Church. One included actually doing an infant baptism for infants that would die or for the soon-to-be past deceased as adults. Well, baptizing an infant was against her religious beliefs, but she did it and did something that was called a conditional baptism that she could feel okay doing based on her beliefs. She figured she'd never have to do it because the first job she got, which was a neonatal intensive care unit in a very small 80-bed ICU hospital, had tons of other Catholic workers, and she thought, no worries, I'll never have to do that. Until one stormy night. So of course it was stormy and nurses couldn't come or go, and she was working now a double shift. And so during that very horrible weather system, a young woman came in and delivered at 21 weeks gestation. And the baby she was going to name Joe. Well, little Joe was not ready to be born. He was halfway cooked and his prognosis was not good. The mother was hysterical because when the doctors told her she should prepare for the demise of this infant, then she frantically asked this new nurse, can you baptize him? Well, she thought, I'll go find someone who can do that. And so nobody in the hospital could do that. Even the physician wasn't around. And she called the priest. The priest couldn't come because of the weather storm. And so it was up to her. She told the mother, I'm not Catholic and I don't have the authority to baptize, so I'm sorry about that. Well, the mother was just beside herself. And the nurse, of course, wanting to help and heal both the mother and that infant, pulled the depths of her soul and said, I could give him a conditional baptism, as she had been taught in this nursing school. So very carefully, she got a little medicine cup, poured it full of sterile water, and get a little sterile cotton swab. She cradled that little premature infant in her palm of her hand, and in her limited words but big faith, put that little cotton ball of water on the head and said, I baptize you, little Joe, conditional on this baptism. Well, she hardly knew what those words really meant, but what it meant to the mother was everything. She physically softened, relaxed, and then could just hold her baby. Well, they knew that what they had to do was keep this baby in an incubator and kept it at least at 98 degrees. And so they did. Well, that was the first miracle because little Joe made it through the night. Every shift with new nurses, everyone was attentive to little Joe. And so he began to gain weight, and they were thrilled. And the story doesn't end there. One night, she got a notice that little Joe was not doing well. Well, it was her turn to watch for little Joe, and she noticed the incubator was at 80 degrees. What had happened? She, of course, looked at all the tubes and realized the cord somehow had been pulled out. So she and the physician did all they can to try and warm up little Joe. Well, she worked hard, and little Joe made it through the night. So little Joe was slowly gaining weight, and hopes were high. And the mother was so grateful and visibly again, so relieved and full of hope. Well, she was off her shift for 3 days, as is common for a 12-hour shift, for 3 days in a row. When she came back, the report she got was Joe was gone. Gone home? He had gained sufficient weight to be able to go home. And so all of the nurses on that unit were so grateful for little Joe and prayed that he would continue to grow. Well, that wasn't the end of the story. About 14 years later, this nurse got a mysterious and very surprising and grateful letter. In it, it said, you might not remember me, but I used to be called Little Joe. I now weigh 158 pounds and I'm 14 years old. Thank you, nurse, for taking care of me when I was born on that stormy night. So this nurse learned we do what we do, even if we don't want to do it, because it's always in the best interest of that patient. And so even if you don't get the letter in 14 years, you can know that your efforts are appreciated and make a difference. So thank you for using your healer's heart to do good. And so if you've got a story you want to share in this Healer's Heart story series, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know, and we'd love to post it as well. In the meantime, thank you for all your service and happy healing.